Hello everyone, welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. What am I going to be doing today? Well, I'm going to be changing the dashboard bulbs. Because as you can see, well you won't be able to see because the lighting in here is terrible, but I don't know if you can see there, but a couple of the lights are out, particularly that one there and that one there. And when one goes, they all tend to go pretty quickly after them. So I'm going to be replacing them with these LED bulbs, and because then the heater control looks terrible next to, let's shut these back off, the heater control looks absolutely terrible next to the dash. If you've not replaced them both, I'm going to replace the heater control knobs as well. Now, to get in at the dashboard bulbs, it is a bit of a mess, but as I say, since I've already got that panel out from when I was just installing the horn, it makes it a little bit easier, but bear in mind that when you're changing your own, you will need to take that off as well. Okay, so I'll put you down somewhere that hopefully you'll be able to see, and we'll get started. Okay, hello again. So to start with, you'll remember from when I changed the radio, this whole assembly needs to come out. So the first thing, again, pry tool, behind that, pop power windows socket, red tab, slides out, power windows come off. I'll set that down behind you. Then heater control knobs, feel free to use a pair of pliers to get them out, as long as you do it gently so you don't mark them. The little one's baby seat has a ideal cup holder for holding all this stuff. Again, Phillips head screw in here, which comes off like that. That one can go down there. And then, if you remember, this whole thing, again, pops off and out of the way. Now this is where it gets slightly trickier for this particular operation, because we need to remove the dashboard as well. So that screw comes out the dash, that screw comes out the dash. Now to get the dash out, you need to pop these. See these here? These need to pop out as well. So again, I'll adjust your positioning slightly so you should be able to see a little bit better. These again are spring clips that hold these on, and they're sometimes a little bit fussy about coming out. There you go. As you can see, it's just springy clips that hold it in, and hopefully that will go back in easily enough and it won't be a pest about that. And basically what you're trying to do is then pull the dash out so that you can get in around this light cluster. It's sometimes better to move the steering column down if you can. Now I'll need to go around to the passenger side and do the same, so give me 2 seconds. And again, remember, if you haven't, because I've already removed that, I'm not showing you how to do it, but that side panel needs to come out as well. Because basically what you're trying to do, as I said, free up that. Okay, so again, just trying to pull that out, preferably without breaking it. back in we get. Again, I'll move that out the road. So as we say, the dashboard should pull. Now again, you're not pulling up with the dash, you're pulling out like that. Now that's lovely and free to get that out. I'm just going to make sure there's nothing else in to unscrew, unclip, unbolt, destroy or anything like that before this will come out. Don't think so. I think it should come out relatively easily if I push that down. So that is as far down as it goes. There we go. Now, as you pull this out, you'll want to be careful as well, because aside from the heater vent, which is on this side, the other bit you don't want to damage is, and as I pull it out I'll show you, the wiring harness for the indicators is up under here too. So you don't want to be damaging that, or your indicators won't work. So the best thing to do I found is turn it that way, and that way it'll sit quite nicely. And then there are 4 screws holding that bit itself on. I'm going to try and get this up out the way actually, a wee bit better. If you set it up on top of the dashboard, like that, you shouldn't have a problem. I do remember this being a pest, trying to find somewhere to suitably set that, because it doesn't want to stay anywhere. But you need it to, in order to unscrew these bits here that are holding the dashboard assembly in. So again, just a few screws. One. I'm just going to let that fall. Two. Again, other people's screwdrivers might be easier to use. Mine isn't particularly easy, and it doesn't help that I've got the steering wheel turned away the side either. Three, and the final one's the hardest one to reach. Unless you do that, in which case it's pretty easy, and it's up in there. As I say, if you have problems with your remote locks as well, that's where the remote locking system is. It's in there. So if you need to take that apart and clean it, as I've had to do, then you just do this process as well, and that lets you in there. Okay, so again, move this thing out of the way, and we should, he says, hopefully be able to pull the dashboard console out. Oh no, there's 2 more screws, sorry. The other Chrysler I've changed these dash bulbs a couple of times before on an older cruiser, and the one I had on that, about 3 or 4 of these screws were missing, so apologies. I don't don't think this one's ever had the dash out before, in truth, because all the clips and everything were pretty stiff. So for normal stock bulbs to have lasted from 2003 to 2019 isn't bad at all. And I say the first time I saw how to do this, when I first got my last Chrysler, the dash lights didn't work, and I thought, oh well, just change the bulbs out. What's the guy moaning about? Aye, until I saw what you had to do to change the flaming bulbs. I thought, oh right, very good. Okie dokie. Now make sure again that everything's still lined up inside. I did come prepared as well, because this is one of those few opportunities that you'll get. There is your instrument cluster and it's bogging. So I've got glass wipes, which will let me clean it all up, certainly on the outside. Now there goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black bits are your bulbs. Now what you want to do is take needle nose pliers, grip it, turn it, pull it out. There you can see the bulb. Now this is the unfortunate bit, because after you change every single one of these bulbs, you need to put it back in and test it to make sure it's working. Now that is a pain. Okay, so get your old bulb there. There's one of my new LED ones. The bulb, as you say, it just may take a little bit of wiggling, but it'll pull out of the holder, and you insert the LED one in, hopefully. And push it in. Now again, as I say, it's a bit of a pain because these are LED bulbs. They're one directional, meaning they'll only work, they're polar, sorry, so they'll only work in one direction. If you try to put them in the wrong way, they just ain't going to fit. Or they'll fit, sorry, but they won't work. I'll just try to line this up right. See, you line clips up. Say installation, opposite of removal as usual. Pop it out. Now I'm going to have to put this back in. Say every single bulb. And you want to do it after the first one anyway, just to make sure that your bulbs that you've got actually work. Because if they don't, right, yep, that one works. And if you look, that one works pretty nicely too. Okay, now that there, as you say, they're the heater control ones. They're fairly easy to get in at again. Just the bottom ones are the worst. The top two are fairly easy. So back out it comes, quite a painstaking process. Back out. And so what I'll do, guys, is I'll do the rest of these bulbs and I'll come back to you once they're done, because all I'm doing, as I say, pull the existing bulb out, get one of the nice shiny new LEDs, push it in. As I say, I got lucky with that first one, that I put it in the right way. Slip the bulb back into the holder, twist it the way it came out, pop the unit back in under the dash, lights on. Now see, that one's working as well, because you can see that needle. Okay, I'm going to bring you back once this is done. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so that's it all done. The lights are back in. Nice and LED. Nice and bright. So now we're going to move on to these. Again, I'll put you back once I've got you somewhere you'll be able to see. Okay, so back in again. The centre console has all been pushed in. It's now just a case of screwing it all back together. So again, first screw in. Again, before you screw anything, make sure the bulbs work. That's why I tested them, to show you, and to show you how they look, because they look pretty good. Again, just another screw. It does help that if you've got a screwdriver that's magnetic. I'm not sure if this one is, but I don't think so. So you need to line everything up yourself and post it all in. As I say, I'm not putting the dash all the way back together as yet, per se. There's another little thing I have to do before I do that, and you will see that shortly as well, so don't worry. Again, need to drop this to get in, to get everything back together. The only reason I'd lifted it up was so I could get out, because I cannot get out the car when the steering wheel's always way down. I am far too big. Not this is a small car by, well, most standards, but I am a large filly by most standards. So I struggle to get in and out of tiny wee spaces. Tiny wee spaces ain't my pal. So in we go. Try to find somewhere this long ass screwdriver will go through. Go. See, and the final two screws are up there. So again, easiest way to reach them is to lift the dash up. And what I'm going to do is just put them both in while I've got this thing up, and it means it should be easier to just push it back down. Now the LEDs I bought, they come in packets of 10, I think. Aye. Yeah, packets of 10, I'm just looking at the packet there. So you've got a couple of spares, in case for whatever reason one of them doesn't work. And now, the next bit, just, if you can, however you can, pivot this back down, lift the dash out the way, line it up with the heater coil. Make sure you don't put your indicator blinkers on, which I've just done. Post it all back in. Now make sure you've got the little pointer for your reset button and everything in the right place. That will roughly tell you if you've lined everything up correctly. Hopefully you have, and everything will just clip back in nicely like that. Now, as I say, I'm not going to be putting the dash just slips back in really easily anyway, but I am not going to be putting the dash and everything back on just now. There is a reason for that, and that reason will become apparent all too soon. The other thing I'm going to do, however, at this point is put this back in, so I'll need to open the door again to post this piece back on. Again, just make sure everything all lines up. You'll need to pull the weather stripping out the road because this goes underneath the weather stripping. It's easier if you try and put it in at an angle. Run the weather stripping down and round. Make sure everything clips in. Because the last thing you want to do is find out, once you put everything together, that you missed a bit. Don't worry, it invariably happens to me, so I'm just warning the rest of you against it. Say it slipped the weather stripping over the edge. Probably the most annoying bit, and you won't need to contend with that unless you take that panel all the way around, which you don't need to. You don't need to take it all the way out. As I say, I had it out because I was doing something else. See my other video to see what I was doing in here, but yeah, that's us all good as far as the bulbs are concerned. Let's see, that goes in there with 2 screws. Put those 2 screws in here. And I say you would normally put the pillars back on, but again, there's no point in me doing that just now. And oh, intriguing, but yep. Again, these should screw in relatively easily. If they don't, you've done something wrong, and you'll want to go and look and see what you've done wrong, because I say these should screw in easily enough. And I say the other thing I'm going to do is tuck these wires in at the road. And while all this is out, I'm going to take this vacuum hose and run it up in here, because that's where it's going. What do you think the vacuum hose is for? I could have done it while the fascia was out actually, that would probably been easier, but hey ho. So, I want your guesses. What do you think the vacuum hose is for? If you get it right, I'm going to give you absolutely nothing, but it's interesting to see what your thoughts are. So if you've got any thoughts on what the vacuum hose is for, again, you can just pop this, can get popped up now. There's no need for it to be down anymore. And I'm not sure where I've put that. Oh, there it is. And my fuse box door can go back in as well. Okay, so the dashboard all done and reinstalled. I'm turning my attention to the heater control knobs here. So what you're basically doing is, I've already done that first one there, as you can see. I'll dim it down a bit so it's easier to see, and you can see the difference between the LED one and that. And all you do is twist it to take the bulb out and then replace it with the LED one. So again, I'll turn the bulb off and I'll put you back down where you'll be able to see. 2 seconds. Okay, so as you can see, fairly easy. You might want to use pliers again. Twist, and out it comes. Move the wiring harness for that out of the road. I have unscrewed the heater control switches to make it easier for me to get in it. Take one of my LED bulbs. Now what you may want to do is once you've put it in, before you twist it to complete the installation, if you turn the light on to make sure, see that one's in the terminal the wrong way, so it's not going to work. Turn it the other way, in the terminal. It still doesn't work. Well, that's not very good now, is it? Here's the one of my LEDs is broken. That's really not good. 2 seconds, I'm just trying to clean the terminals a wee bit. See if there's just been maybe a build up of something on it. Causing it not to make good contact. Yeah, there we go. That's us. Sorted, and again, put your needle nose in and turn them, and hopefully, can't really see how far round I need to turn it, but 2 seconds. Two minutes. What I'll do is I'll finish these and I'll come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so that's the heater control bulbs all changed, and it's now just a case of popping this back in and putting the 2 screws in, and we're nearly done with the 8 light bulb changes. As I say, I have done this. This isn't a surprise to me that it looks awesome. I have done this on my previous cruiser, which was an absolute rust bucket, I might add. This one, obviously, you've seen from the videos. It's lovely. It looks brilliant. It really, really drives well too, which is helpful. And I'll just make sure, again, because there's nothing worse than putting all this together and finding out that one of your bulbs isn't working. Yep, so next what you do is get this. That's a good point, actually. This needs to be out of the way of everything, this vacuum hose, but I can worry about that another time. So for now, I'll just put these in here. Make sure that your wiring harness for the power windows doesn't get in your road. That clips in. Again, I'm not going to screw everything back together. I'm just putting the heater control knobs on so you can see how it looks. Again, because the LED bulbs, they are largely for aesthetics, but they also last longer, and as you've seen by this video, it's not exactly the most fun trying to get this dashboard to bits. Okay, so let's try it. Ooh, nice and cool and LED. What I'll do is I'll come out when it's dark again and I'll let you see. If you give me 2 minutes, I'll pop you up and we can have a look. Okay, so we're ready for the big reveal of the LED bulbs. Ooh, look at that. They are lovely. And heater control knobs. Yep. Again, LEDs, they last longer and they do look much better. particularly when it's darker. And I was going to bring it back out when it's dark, but you can see it perfectly well there. Yeah, really happy with how that's turned out. Okay, so that's me. I've installed LED bulbs in both the dash cluster and the instrument panel. Stay tuned, there will be more updates. I mean, this one was quite good fun. I quite enjoy doing stuff with LEDs, quite stuff with the electronics. But as I say, answers on a postcard as to what you think that blue vacuum line's for. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks. Bye.